Corazon del Mar Melanocetus GMT. The name is like the watch, extraordinary. I've got it here. And I'm very pleased that I'm allowed to show you this special PVD coated model even before it is available on the producer's website. Hello and welcome to Watch-Maxe's Watch Videos. My name is Axel and I'm glad to have you on the show. Corazon del Mar Melanocetus GMT. I had several tries before I could pronounce the company and the watch in one go. The very young brand Corazon del Mar sent me over their new PVD coated model even before it is on their website available for a review. Many thanks for that. I'm not a big fan of PVD coated watches, but this watch really got me. There's a lot of stuff which I really do like and few points where I would have preferred a different solution. The watch has a diameter of 43 millimeter and a thickness of 13 millimeter. As you can see, the horns have some special attached here, but I come to that later in the video. The lug to lug span is 51 millimeter and the lug width is 22 millimeter. Well, the first thing you can see is that the watch is black, which means the case and the bracelet is PVD coated, which gives the watch a really nice black or really deep grayish appearance. I think it makes the watch look really interesting. The watch has a water resistance of 200 meter, equaling 20 bar, and the watch body without the bracelet weighs 75 grams, and including the bracelet in full length, the watch weighs 145. The front crystal is an AR-coated sapphire crystal, and the back is also a sapphire crystal. The bezel is made from ceramic, and the movement is, depending on availability, either an Sellita SW 330-1 or a ETA 2893-2. The watch is stuffed with 3 different time zones. The most obvious one is the 12-hour time indication as you're used with the hour and minute hand. The minute hand is done in a plongeur form, which makes it very easy to read the minutes. In addition to that, you have a GMT hand with the red tip, which you can see over here. And on the bezel, you have a 24-hour scale, which can be adjusted by turning the bezel in 30-minute steps. So this is a GMT bezel with 48 clicks to adjust the 24-hour on the bezel precisely to the time zone you're traveling to, even if it is a broken time zone with a 30-minute step. In addition to that, you have on the dial itself, on any 5-minute marker, another 24-hour time scale, so you can adjust the time with the 12-hour hands, and with the GMT hand you can adjust it to the fixed scale on the dial, and in addition to that you can turn the bezel for a 3rd time zone. But how does the Melanocetus feel on my wrist? For this I have to take off my Vampire Iron Walker, which is on my wrist today, and put on the Melanocetus. And I have to say, despite the core numbers of 33 millimeter and 51 lug to lug, it appears not extremely big on my wrist and it feels well. So I'm really surprised seeing that watch on my 17 centimeter or 6 3/4 of an inch wrist. So I was curious to see how it compares to a 44 millimeter watch. So I took out my Sinn UX and compared it to the Melanocetus, and the dial of the UX appears to be wider and the Melanocetus appears to be more compact and doesn't appear to be a big watch, at least not as big as the U1 or UX. So that was really a surprise for me. When I first saw the watch, I was kind of surprised to see that this watch is a classy, sporty watch, and it has a certain shiny, a certain bling factor. I don't think this is well seen in the video, but the ceramic bezel has a lot of reflections, as well as the hands, which seem to be polished, and the dial as well has certain reflection points. So it is a shiny bling watch, which kind of contrasts the sporty appearance, but for me it perfectly fits and I like it. On the case side you see certain elements which are unusual for a watch. These are ceramic inlays which make the watch look a little bit more interesting. Well, you may love it or you may hate it, but it's something which is not the usual shape and form of watches. And as you can see, the ceramic inlays are polished while the case is matte PVD coated, so you have different reflections of the light and it feels different. The case feels a little bit matte while the inlays are polished. Really nicely done. On the crown side, the inlays catch the eyesight, so the crown protection doesn't appear to be very obvious. Only if you turn the watch you see that there is a decent crown protection which is not dominating the watch, what I like. The bezel is made from ceramic. Front and back crystal are sapphire glasses, and the movement is nicely decorated with Geneva stripes. You have the cabochon bead as a moisture indicator, and you have a very specific feature of Corazon del Mar, and this is the sapphire applied to the rotor. What you can't see is that the case is filled with argon to avoid moist air inflood the watch and keep the watch as dry as possible and protect it from any damage by moisture. Really nicely done, and something which you don't have in a lot of watches. Also, the back of the watch, the case back, has no integrated screw feature but is fixed with 7 independent screws, as you can see here. The big advantage is that you can close the watch very precisely, and if you dive, the pressure compresses the watch against the 7 screws and increases the water resistance. Really, really nicely done. The dial of the watch is printed in-house by Corazon del Mar, and the watch which I am able to present today is not yet available on the homepage. I really, really do like and appreciate it. The color of the PVD coated case and bracelet changes from deep black to deep gray and gives a pretty interesting look and feel of the watch. So let's have a look of what I think could have been done in a different way. A watch with a diameter of 43 mm and 13 mm thickness. I think a crown which is slightly bigger and would match the overall very masculine appearance, could have done good. This is a crown which I personally feel to be pretty tiny and not very easy to operate. A crown with a little bit more grip I would have preferred here. It can be operated, but I think a little bit bigger wouldn't have been an issue here. The clasp is a simple standard clasp, nothing extraordinary, massive folding mechanism. It properly closes, has pushers on the side to open, nicely done, massive folding mechanism. The clasp itself is a simple standard clasp, nothing extraordinary. I have no issue with that because it keeps the clasp pretty slim and lightweight, which I consider to be an advantage. Most clasps as a standard have a diver's extension. This clasp doesn't have one. Since I don't use diver's extensions, this is no issue for me. However, what I really regret, there are only 2 holes for a fine adjustment. I would prefer 3 or more in order to adjust the bracelet size exactly to my wrist. So 2 holes is not the standard I personally would expect. However, I heard from the producer that they plan to change to a more sophisticated clasp in the future. Let's have a close-up look to the watch. The bezel is nicely done. I do like the color of the daylight hours with the dark red kind of purple tone, which turns into black or anthracite grayish during the night hours. Really nicely done. The dial is printed in-house. I like the brand name and the model name in gray, so it doesn't appear too obvious on the dial. Really nicely done. The ceramic inlays, which give the watch a real special look. A signed crown. Really neatly produced. I can't see anything where I think this is of minor quality or needs fixing. Really nicely done. Let's have a look at the watch in no light conditions. You already know first switch of video light number 1 and switch of video light number 2, and we have the watch at night. You can see the full bezel is filled with luminous color and the 5-minute indices of the dial as well. The hands are well readable. A big advantage of the Plongear hand. It's big and bright and easy to read. I didn't test the duration of the luminescence power, but it's really bright, well readable, and I would expect it to be readable all night. It can be read from different angles, and a watch which really looks nice at light. The Corazon del Mar Melanocetus GMT, black PVD coated, currently retails at €1,850 and will be available on the producer's website pretty soon. Well, that has been the Corazon del Mar Melanocetus GMT, a watch which really surprised me and what I do like. If you like this kind of video, subscribe to my channel and look forward to the next videos to come. Cheers, Axel.